Well, it's that time again. The champagne's on ice, the countdown is ticking, and we're all promising ourselves this is the year we'll finally hit the gym, ditch those bad habits, or chase those big dreams.
Oh, dream big, Dr. Nick. But let's be honest, how many of us have already broken our resolutions by the time February rolls around? Well, relationship and life coach Ria Williams joins us now. Ria, very good morning to you. Happy New Year. So why do so many of us crash and burn with these resolutions that we set for ourselves?
You know what? It's so good to be here. I think it mainly stems from just a lack of proper boundary setting and probably aiming a little bit too high. It's always good to just focus on one thing at a time. So I think we take on a lot in the beginning of the year.
We sure do, but do you reckon there's a magic formula for setting a goal that we can actually stick to?
You know what? I do. I think, one, if you always want to tackle one thing at a time, don't be afraid to accept help. Doing things in community is always good. Setting goals naturally boosts our momentum. So I do think that it's about just sticking to one thing, avoiding negative self-talk. That's a huge one. Also being very clear and specific about the outcome that you seek to desire. And then, as I mentioned, the community part is always a help. Utilizing the motivation from others when ours gets low, because it always does, will always help us when we're trying to achieve goals.
So Ria, what about people watching at home who have set a resolution for themselves and then unfortunately they haven't been able to live up to it for whatever reason? They've got that awful guilt for a majority of the year. How can you shake off some of that pressure and be a little bit kinder to ourselves?
Oh, I love that question because I'm such an advocate of that. One, it happens to all of us, okay? Goals don't happen overnight. We've had a whole pattern that preceded us setting this goal. So just knowing that whatever point you're at, you can reassess, you can reestablish a new goal, and you can start again. So that's that simple. You can always just start right from the point where you are. You can always reestablish goals if you need to.
There's always next year.
There is always next year. I love what you said there about community there, but you know, isn't it also about letting your friends and family know what your goals are, so when they see you slipping a little bit, they can actually help you stick with them?
Absolutely, it is. I mean, accountability is a big part of it because if we can do it ourselves, we would have done it, you know? So I do think that it's worth sharing with friends and family. But here's the caveat here. You make your goals for yourself, okay? Sometimes we can succumb to the pressure of others. So everyone needs to set a realistic goal for their own lifestyle and their own better mental, physical, emotional health. So that's where I would just say, make sure you get the accountability, but set something realistic for you, not for others.
What about, Ria, the other side of the coin here, someone who has set a New Year's resolution, they're going hard at the gym in January, training every single day, 5 days a week, and then by mid-January or even the end of the month, all of a sudden they're like, uh-oh, I've gone too hard and I feel like I'm going to give up. What's your advice there?
You know what? I am very consistent. I always say there's no wrong to just setting a new goal. So if you want to, let me back up. You want to reward yourself for the work that you have done. So you always know, hey, whatever you have done, honor that, give yourself that credit, and remember that small choices lead to big changes. Some people discount doing a small thing differently. That is exactly what leads to permanent change. Each choice that we make is what magnifies, and ultimately you start to see a little bit of improvement in said area. So it does take time. So just keeping that in your mind as your anchor is what I always tell people to remember.
I mean, the other thing, Ria, and I guess it always happens to me, I think it happens to everybody, it's often not just one thing that you want to self-improve, isn't it? So how do you sort of sit there and prioritise that really long list that everyone's kind of going through today?
You know what? I always have this phrase that I use a lot of time. You assess, you prioritize, and then you plan. You plan your work and you work your plan. So depending on which area has the biggest impact, I always say, again, small choices lead to big changes. But if it's in different categories of your life, you can hold yourself accountable. I would set incremental times attached, even if it's taking quiet time in the morning, if it's turning off the music during your drive. They're little small things that can make big impact across our lives, but definitely writing it down. The key is making sure that you're keeping yourself organized and it's not just all jumbled in your head. So writing them down.
Ria Williams, such good tips from you this morning. I feel nice and motivated and ready to tackle those New Year's resolutions that I've set myself.
Might be getting a call from me, Ria. I think I'm in need of a life coach.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, and Happy New Year for you as well, because you're in the past at the moment and we're in the future.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and What's my name again?
Oh my goodness. Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.